Convene the meeting. You're on, Councilmember Maroney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you recall, last month I had a list of questions, not so much answers or suggestions. I understand that the task force has not met, and maybe that's a good thing. We'll see here. You asked for an opinion of 1, 2, 3, or 4 that we have.
Yep.
I almost lean towards 4, which is other, yes. I don't think accepting what the county has today is needed. I rather take the stance that we have been for the last 11 months, 10 months here that we have been doing. And that's kind of shedding that blind eye because I'd rather get it right and move on. Now, if you were to say, what should we do? Let's get one of those 3. I'd say leave it as 1. I think there's still some things that we should nail down and get in there, get some teeth into this thing. I like what we have presented from the task force, and I just want to build upon that. I like what we've added beyond what the county has added. And so I have a printout that I'll hand out to all of you. Take one down, pass it around. And I'll read it. And again, these are not questions; these are suggestions for the task force. And so my recommendation is that if everybody's in agreement, or see what the task force can build upon these. Locations of allowable licensed areas. And I know I talked with the city administrator, and there's some questions that still need to be answered about if this can be allowed. But here's what I have. Locations of allowed licensed areas, continuing on with our current zoning ordinances, but continuing with zoning of R4 commercial and resort commercial districts. Or, I still think there's a place for this, within 1,000 feet of a primary homesteaded residence of the same owner on file of said property, i.e. if John Smith lives at 123 ABC Street and wants to rent out the next door as a short-term rental, they can do so within 1,000 feet. No more than 2 short-term rentals per owner, and cannot apply for a short-term rental on their homestead address. Again, these are questions that we don't know. Can they be done? These are just suggestions. And again, we need to investigate any property outside of a zoned R4, commercial or resort commercial, that is qualified as a timeshare resort unit at the time of passing, as we just need to investigate for that licensing purpose. Section 3, all short-term rentals will be physically inspected before issuing a license each year. This fee will be based on how many advertised bedrooms the license is seeking. Fees are still to be determined. In Section 2H, a qualified bedroom will meet current standards of the Minnesota Building Code to qualify for a bedroom count. 3M, all licensed properties will be maintained by a public available website, and we've gone through this, but public website showcasing the owner's name, property address, management contact number. Those things are still there. I think that's very valid. But also within 3M, that website will list the status of license, date of approval, brief summary of any complaints brought forward, and a brief summary of resolution of said complaint. I'm not looking for a story on it, just brief. Complaints and summaries should be posted within 10 business days of said complaint. Also in 3M, properties that are found to be unlicensed will also be identified on that website to be notified that they are out of compliance and do not have a license. I do still like the county's false reporting language, but at the time it's not really part of this licensing fee, it's more of a fee, so something to be considerate of. As far as monitoring goes, and I know the administrator might have more news for us either this meeting or next meeting regarding the firm that the county uses as far as maintenance of the websites, but I jotted down, city staff or contractor shall set aside an hour per week to proactively review homes listed on short-term websites such as Airbnb, VRBO, Home2Go, all those other ones that pop up. Any property that is listed on these sites that do not have a county and or city license will be contacted. They'll have 30 days to apply for licensing. Should the property have obtained a county license, we'll obviously have some contact information from that license. Penalties for non-licensed homes within 30 days of notice will receive a fee of a 1-week, 7 consecutive day rental fee. For each time we need to notify that owner of such violation, it's going to be multiplied by each offense. So on the second offense, it's going to be 7 days times 2. Third offense, 7 days times 3, and so on. Penalties for inaccurate advertising, qualified complaints that are not adhering to licensing, follow the same penalties, but again, 1 warning shall be given. And if there's 4 penalties, so 5 after the warning, the license shall be revoked for 18 months from that last occurrence. Again, these are things that have kind of been mentioned, but just rehashing out those. All penalty fees shall be paid within 30 days of dated notice to the over-the-counter, and any unpaid penalties will be assessed to the property taxes of the next year with additional fee, whatever the maximum is from the state of Minnesota, for needing to file onto taxes. Submission for taxes delayed, I go into just going through the county standards. And I'll go back again to the my second section of saying that you can rent a home that you are 1,000 feet of a homestead. I think there's some merit to, if you do own a property and you want to rent, the reason I'm going with this is because as a resident that you live there, you're going to take ownership of who you're renting to and what their actions are. You're not John Smith that lives in Alaska renting out, not caring what's going on at that home. You have a desired interest to maintain what's going on. So again, to answer your question, I would rather have the task force, if anybody likes what I have down, or to see if the task force can build upon that. I don't know, and I don't know what their direction is.
Very good, thank you. Well, I'll comment now, and I think all good feedback from the council. This is what I wanted, and so I'm happy to hear you guys showed up and brought this information. And I think what we need to really look at is, at the end of the day, whatever we come up with is something that we can stand behind. It's going to get enforced. There's the teeth, that we enforce it, that we can ensure we're going to enforce it, and have something that we can stand on, that people aren't going to be able, our citizens aren't going to be able to come back and say, well, why do you even have an ordinance? Because you're not doing anything with it. And I think, in a way, that's kind of what's happened to a point right now. I mean, that's kind of why we're at where we're at. I mean, not only just the county, but also because of what's changing within our city. And we know that, and we're very aware of that. So I think what I would like to do, if the council is okay with this, is send it back to the task force. Have them take our existing ordinance that they've drafted, the one they put together, okay, the one that we know of, okay, take some of the stuff that Councilmember Maroney has brought up, some of the other things that have been addressed at the previous council meeting that we talked about already, and build on that ordinance then that we've got in place, draft it back up with that, and we can bring it back and do like a one final public hearing to allow the public to have comment on the changes that have been made, and then at that time, hopefully then be able to put it into action.
Can do that.
So is the council comfortable with that?
Agreed,
Okay.
in spades.
All right.
And my congratulations. You predicted that 2 months ago or 3 months ago. And that's where we are right now. So my hat's off to you.
So why don't you, I'll let you, Tom, I know you're in charge of that, and you've been working on it, so I would just encourage you to don't leave any stone unturned. And think about the things that we've talked about here. And then I think also it's important, even as we look at the ordinance, how will the enforcement look like? What's that gonna look like? And then we can address that as well, because I think that's gonna be an important part of this, to see how, as a city, we're going to work that. What's that gonna be? And potentially I can have the city administrator work with us as well to think about costs. If we do some enforcement, is it a staff person? Is it a contracted person? Is it something like that? And what does that look like?
Jerry and I are on that task force.
Yep.
Perfect.
Good.
One
And
thing I would ask is timeline. I don't think this is going to be returning this around by December.
No,
No.
no,
Understand that.
absolutely not. No, I want the task force, and I think the council will agree, take the time, get it right, bring it back. We'll do one final swing at it and get it put to bed.
Yep.
That's kind of where I'm at,
yeah,
so.
I don't really see enforcement as a real big issue with it. The biggest thing is getting the language down there and getting the framework in place.
Right.
That's,
Agreed.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay. Sounds good.
I will accept that responsibility and get it done.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All I have to do is get a house to live in.
That's coming soon. All right, excellent. Thank you. All right, moving on. 6C, adopt 2022 fee schedule. All of the council should have taken a look at that in their packets. Is there any questions or comments from the council on the fee schedule as it was given to us?
I do have a comment.
Yes.
The fee schedule, I was going to make a motion for approving the fee schedule as written, with the exception of removing the disc golf course rental fee.
Okay. And your reasoning behind that?
It's a park.
It's a park. Okay.
It was built as such as a park. It's maintained as such as a park. We don't charge a rental fee for the playground.
Okay.
The pavilions we do, but those are minuscule, $25. I just don't see the benefit to a community, a citizen, to want to rent out the park for $200. I can't fathom that right now. If we were to run as a course and we charge admissions, that's a different scenario of what that is defined as then. But to me, that is public property. It's a park.
Okay.
Is that did you make a motion?
I said it, but I know when I make a motion, then
I took it as that.
it removes the comments, and so I want comments. I'm prepared to make that motion, but I don't want to step on
Took
anybody's
it
toes
as a
for
motion.
any. I apologize for that. So
No,
no
all right.
comment only at this
I
point.
was going to second it.
So when we have somebody come in and use it for a tournament and stuff like that, they have the ability to access it free because it's a park.
Yes.
That would be really no different than somebody having a big event going on at the park. We've had events go on. In fact, they've even been political events, where they meet in they rent the pavilion, but the whole park is essentially taken up.
It's hard for me to look at a disc golf course as a park. But
It was, and Michael is right. It was originally developed as a park.
It is a stretch, I think.
yeah, to me it is a big stretch. Because I don't see it as that, but
Yeah, it was originally organized under Park and Rec.
well, I understand it was organized under Park and Rec.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's a park. So, all right. Okay, well, there'll be other things we'll be discussing with regards to the disc golf course coming up. Maybe it'll be addressed then. So, all right, so is there any other discussion regarding the fee schedule? All right,
Hearing none, Mr. Mayor, I will make that motion then to approve the fee schedule with the exception of removing the disc golf course rental fee.
Second.
all right, I have a motion from Councilmember Maroney, a second from Councilmember Bakken. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion passed. All right, moving on, item 6D. Review current debt schedule. City Administrator, would you like to give us a little overview on this?
Yes, I can, Mayor. So in the last year, we've been looking at the potential of early retiring our existing debt, which is called the 2012 crossover debt. It included at the time, there was a variety of debts that were put together and retired to save dollars at the time. As effective last year, December 2020, the city had the ability to pay off the debt, and so we've been looking and exploring the different options. With the recent adoption of the, or preliminary adoption of the levy, there exists the potential to pay off the debt early. At the end of this year, the city will have, I highlighted the $570,000 worth of debt. The city will also be issuing or levying $230,000 as part of your preliminary levy. One of the other components is the city currently has a fund balance of $272,000 from all the debts that we've been collecting from the prepayments of assessments. That, you will notice, isn't quite the $570,000, but there is the ability to, under the proposed levy, to use some of the road funding dollars to pay off the debt early. The reason we would do that as a potential is the interest that we could potentially save. Right now, I've identified where or have shown where the different interest rates are, 2%, 2.1, and 2.25. Now, those don't seem like extremely high rates. However, our return on investments right now is far less than that. There's no, I can't find a 2% rate. So, with that being said, I also wanted to show you, this is the initial debt service schedule that was included in your packet from the beginning when we received the dollars, the $2.3 million, and how we would go about interest and principal payments. You can see that over here on the left-hand side, it talks about the principal payments, the different interest, and the amounts we could save. Part of the requirements of prepaying our debt is that we have to pass a resolution and give at least 35 days notice to the bond holders. And so we have been talking with our current bond consultants, and it's a very voluminous resolution, several pages about what we have to do to give notice to do that. We could then prepay or redeem the debt in January, and that they would prepare our resolution for us, and we would be able to then adopt it if that's what you so fit see. Some of the arguments are that when we levy the dollars, our levy dollars come in July and November. However, we can borrow from our internal funds. No funds, the city would not go in default. We have plenty of dollars in reserves. So it seems up and up. From staff perspective, seems like a good idea. I'm more than interested in hearing what the council has to say. And I did include the fund balance accounts done by our auditor, which shows the $272,000. More than willing to answer any questions.
Council, questions for the city administrator on this? I think it's a good idea. I think anytime we can pay off our debt early, we're doing the right thing. And we have the ability to do it with what's available, and I think it's a smart thing to do based off of what I know we have coming in the future with regards to a large road project we're going to be working on in the next few years. And we know that we're going to have to issue debt for that. So, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion, Councilmember Ball, second from Councilmember Bakken to move forward with getting our debt paid off early. Any further discussion?
The savings will be roughly 20,000.
It should be more than that, but yeah, that'll be determined by the resolution.
Okay. And this motion is to move forward to the next step on preparing the resolution.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And have we've obviously with the bond consultant, have we consulted with anybody else on this move?
The bond consultant is the one that would prepare the necessary
Gotcha.
paperwork. And
Okay.
then, yes, we've got, our next meeting is scheduled so that they can know the exact details pending what your discussion was tonight.
Okay. No other questions?
Okay. All right. Hearing no other further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. 6E, discussion of disc golf course and expansion. At the last council meeting, I asked the council to be allowed to bring this back up and have a little bit of a discussion about the disc golf course. We do currently have our one golf course in place, and there is now in process to expand to where we would have a total of, I believe, 36 holes total. The one is 18, and our second one that would be put up is another 18. And so the process for that's been moving forward. I know that our Public Works Director has been working with people on that as well. And one of the reasons I brought this up, and then I wanted to discuss it, was, you know, I know that the disc golf course is in place. I know we're going to have another one. And I guess, despite the fact that I think there are some feelings that it's a park, I still ultimately believe that somehow, some way, the city needs to be able to at least make it cost neutral. We have a cost that goes into it, and if you look at the information that was provided in our packets, there's a cost. We have labor costs, we have maintenance and upkeep costs that go into that we have to pay for. And as with anything, when you build something, it's great when it's new, and as the years go by, you have to then continue to keep it up. You have to continue to update it, make improvements, do different things. So, you know, I guess what I'm looking at is, and the other piece that goes along with that is, yet, while I know we have people using the golf course, I know we have people using the disc golf course, I understand that, we don't have an idea of what the numbers are. I mean, we can say the parking lots are full all day long, and that doesn't give us a true idea of how many people are really using it. And I just think that we need to be a little more thoughtful about the money that's going out the door, and we have nothing coming in. And so from my perspective, there's a couple things that I could think about. One would be, maybe we need to task the park committee with looking at potentially a season pass or something, that somebody would buy a season pass that they could have. They do that for cross-country ski trails. You buy a season pass to access cross-country ski trails to be able to use them. And what that would do is two things, twofold. You'd have the pass, which we'd have a little revenue come in off of that, which may help us then make this cost neutral. Second of all, it gives us an accounting of numbers. How many people are you actually using our golf course? And so then it goes away from the fee thing that we're talking about, but potentially something very similar to that, where it's a pass. Where if you're going to utilize it, and it's a season pass, you buy it, it's a one-time pass, it works for the whole season. You could even do it to the point, if you want to, you could do a 3-year pass, where they buy it and it's a cost for 3 years, and they've got it for 3 years to access the golf course. And I just think it's a way for us to be able to make it cost neutral. And I understand right now that we are under budget for what amount of money was put forth to actually do the golf course. But again, I'm thinking about long term. I'm thinking about long range. If one thing you have to I always look at it this way. If you build something, it's easy to build it. It takes money to maintain it. Community centers the same way. So that's kind of what I wanted to bring this up to the council to think about. And like I said, I would propose that we just send it back to the park committee to see if they can come up with something regarding like a season pass. But then when the person buys the pass, now we're getting an idea of numbers. We're getting, because I look at it this way too. When a constituent in the city comes up to me and says, well, how many people use that disc golf course? I can't give them an answer because I don't have a number to share with them. I can't say, well, the parking lot's full every weekend. That doesn't answer their question. And so I just think it's a good thing to think about. And we're gonna have the new one going in. We're gonna have a new parking lot that's got to go in as a part of that, because that's part of that plan is consolidated. So there's one parking lot. That's why that piece is up there. I just think it's a good thing for us to think about, to maybe do some type of a seasonal pass, a 3-year pass. But what I would say, and I'm just throwing this out here, maybe bring it back to the park committee and come up with a proposal for some type of a pass. So I don't know. That's my thoughts. I'm open to feedback from the council.
The disc golf course, it's not busy every weekend. It's busy every day, all summer long. The thing is really very, very successful. And it's in its infancy right now, okay? The tournaments that we've had here, they're typically one-day tournaments because it's only an 18-hole golf course, or disc golf course. If it were 36 holes, they would be two-day tournaments, which means everybody's going to be coming in here, they're going to be eating at our restaurants, they're going to be staying at the motels, hotels, the resort around. It brings income to the entire city. Once you get it to a larger, then if you wanted to say this is it's more like a golf course and you charge for using it, but it's not there yet, okay? We need to get it, if you want to get it developed so that it could be something, I mean, you have a park out here. You don't charge the kids to go down the slide. You don't have to have a slide pass to use the park.
No,
Okay,
but I don't
no.
consider the disc golf course park,
You may
so.
not consider it a park. It was developed as a park and parkland was utilized for it. So that's just a difference in opinion. But it is technically under Parks and Rec. Park doesn't charge for anything. They charge for pavilions, for rentals and that kind of stuff, but they don't charge for using the park. It was all put together with taxpayer money, okay? And it is a public entity, and so to start charging for it, I think it would just be sending the wrong message. That is a real community asset. It has, and like I say, if you could see the crowds there all summer long, it is being heavily used. And Joe, you collect the trash out there. How much trash do you collect on a regular basis?
I would have to estimate the trash volume is approximately equal to what this park generates.
Okay.
It's roughly, it goes with the seasons. The nicer the weather, we see about a bag and a half of the large, they're like, I believe 33 gallon bags, generated both locations a week roughly. That's the, outside of people taking counts or doing something digital, voluntary, where people can volunteer their information. That's the only way I can estimate usage.
But when you're
really.
out there, collecting trash and stuff like that, people are out there actively playing the course?
Yeah, I mean, midday use is higher than I totally anticipated, especially midday,
Right.
mornings, things that I didn't expect. When this park is typically busy early and then it slows down, the use is, I think it would be very interesting to track it because it's not, I'm not looking out my office at it all day or right by our maintenance building. We visit it when it needs maintenance, when branches are down, when we pick up garbage or mow. So, there'll be some times we're not out for a week because we collect garbage weekly, and that seems to be adequate. So, any other questions?
But it's just like any other piece of property, any other piece of city property. That's what we do, is we maintain it. So, I mean, it's not an extraordinary expense to us.
I outlined, those are the best numbers I can give you without
Sure.
recording every, nickel and dime.
Right.
Yeah, and like I say, I've talked with the directors of the tournaments that have been there, and one of the things they have done in the past is they would collect receipts from all of the players that come in for a weekend, and then they would raffle off a prize for something like that. But then they would take those receipts and add them up, and it's amazing how much money they actually spend in the community for a weekend golf, a weekend tournament, and that's usually Saturday and Sunday. They do spend a tremendous amount of money in the area that they course is.
And I don't have any disagreement with that.
Yep, and
That's
so
not the
why-
piece
that's
that
why
I'm talking about.
But if you started saying you have to have a pass and you start charging for the tournament's not gonna come.
They'll come.
Tom?
They'll come.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I don't disagree with you, but I would be interested in seeing what the Parks Rec
I would too.
could come up with. I think, putting a QR code, I've actually mentioned that, of asking for a QR code to crowd fund, source fund. Hey, you're enjoying the course, drop us $1 on our PayPal. I've learned we can't really do that, but can we say, hey, pay $1 to play today, QR code. Kids my generations who are usually playing it, there are some older people, they drop $1 and $2 electronically like that. So I think it might be worth it to investigate and see what the park committee can do. Policing it will be a completely different thing. It's an on your honor system.
Right.
That's like putting a cash box out there and asking for that.
And I understand that.
So I think it'd be great. I also have learned we were going to have a presentation tonight from one of the tournament directors, I believe. He missed the deadline, so I think he's going to be on the December agenda. So
Yes.
I would love to hear on their perspective on that different side of it, of what's going on at that disc golf course, who's using it, how they're using it, and what their big ideas are with the course. I've heard some, but I want to hear it from them to all of us at the same time. So I think I would be interested in seeing what the Parks Commission, I'd say pass it on to them right now and let them deal with it. Maybe they can attend the next council meeting as well to listen to this, or at least watch the recording of the presentation. So I'd be in favor of seeing that.
Yeah, I just think to better track, I'd just like to know what it really is, how many people are really using it, how much is getting utilized. And I don't disagree at all that they bring money into the community. I understand that. What I do sometimes kind of get a little is that I know a lot of the tournaments that come in, these people are coming from outside of the community, and that's fine. Our park is utilized of people who don't live here. And I understand that that would be utilized by people who don't live here either. But I look at it from that perspective too, is that I want to make sure that, that if the people that are living here are using it, they did put their taxpayers' money into it. Okay, the people that live outside the community didn't. And so I just look at it from that perspective as well. But I think bring it back to the park committee and have them take a look at it. And see what they can come up with regards to, and they don't have to come up with anything quick, maybe whatever, couple of months from now or whatever, so.
Well, the November.
I know, I saw, got canceled, yeah, because
So-
it's on Veterans Day.
Yep, so if I say everybody.
Shoot for
huddle up,
December.
I'm gonna get shot.
Yeah.
But I see no problem with putting that on the December calendar.
Yeah.
And get some feedback going.
Be great.
Joe, you can, you'll be there, of course, and Patrick, you can see that we have a meeting in December.
I'd appreciate that, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
One
Glad
last
to do it.
comment, if I could
Yes.
leave you with too, is we've been praised for the course that we have. It's a fabulous course, one of the
Yes.
highest ranked ones. People are excited for that next 18. Do we have the next Cuyuna Range bike trail system here? Is that what this is to Breezy Point, to put us on the map? I don't know. Is it? Probably not. But is it going to be a destination for some to come for disc golf?
It already is.
It is.
It is.
And I
yeah.
don't have any disagreement with
Yep.
any of that.
Nope.
I totally understand all that. That's, my point just comes back to, I would just like to get a better handle on the numbers, and I would also like to make sure that we at least stay a cost neutral on it if we can. So that's where I'm at, so.
Awesome.
All right,
I'll see to it.
thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right. Moving on, 6F. So, Crow Wing County has notified us that they're going to be resurfacing County Road 4. Next summer, I believe it is. Is that correct?
One more year.
Oh, okay, the following year. All right, and they are going from basically Lakeshore Drive to County State Aid Highway 11. And so they are looking to receive any public comments with regards to this resurfacing project. So is there anybody within the audience who would like to come forward or has any public comments to be made on the resurfacing project that Crow Wing County is going to be doing? So again, it's going to be not 22, but 23. Okay. Hearing none then, I think, yeah. All right, yeah, and it looks like they're going to overlay it from what it sounds like.
They'll do a 1/4 inch mill and then overlay that.
Overlay it, okay, yeah, so. All right,
After the experience we had at the Butterfly
Butterfly,
release,
yeah, with
we were
the,
tring to coordinate things, so we will let them know when our events are. So we have them. I ask that they
Yeah.
not do them on Saturdays.
right, when we have something else going on, right. All right. Well, made it to item 7 on the agenda, which is to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a
moved.
motion to adjourn? Councilmember Bakken, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Ball, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned.